Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Highly Taken Podcast impromptu episode talking about the college football playoffs. We got Christian up early today, but I'm David back from gloomy Tallahassee, Florida.
I'm Christian here from, looks a little gloomy outside up in Maryland.
Nick back at you in Jacksonville. Sorry, Christian, for waking you up this morning, but hey, a lot happened yesterday. A lot happened.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Yeah. So, I mean, do we want to run down the games, or do we want to go straight into what we think the committee has to decide on today?
We might as well run down the games.
Yeah, I mean, you can run down the games if you want, but I mean, obviously, Washington, in my opinion, the way they looked, I feel like they might deserve the 1 seed. They've had a tougher schedule than Michigan. I feel like they might deserve the 1 seed based off the tough schedule, but they're not going to get it. They're not going to bump off Michigan from that 1 seed now. Obviously, they're going to be one. And I don't know. I don't like the way they looked against Iowa, but Iowa has a good defense. They just don't have an offense.
Yeah, I mean, to your case, I can definitely see your case for Washington being that 1 seed. I feel like they played a lot more ranked teams this season. It's just with Michigan coming in as the number 2 team before the season even started, and then also you're undefeated. They haven't proven that they should be bumped down at all, other than playing a weaker schedule. So that's the only reason Michigan's probably going to be in that 1 seed. Though I definitely see your case for Washington, being that 1 seed, playing a tougher schedule, and beating Oregon twice. So I mean,
yeah.
But they're not going to bump Michigan down, unfortunately.
No.
But I mean, committee has their work.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. Yeah, I got the work cut out. I mean, Bama goes and beats Georgia. That's a big one. Takes down the top dog. But so who gets the 4th spot? That's
it's not. No, this is exactly how it's gonna look like, guys. You have Michigan at 1.
Yeah.
You're gonna have Washington at 2.
Yeah.
You're gonna have Texas at 3.
No.
And you're gonna have Bama at 4.
No.
FSU does not have a hard enough schedule for them to get in.
Matter.
You're gonna tell me that FSU deserves it over a Georgia or Bama team that literally has 1 loss on the season but played a tougher schedule. You don't leave out an SEC football team from the college playoff.
But they have never let out an undefeated Power 5 champion. We've had 9 years to do this, and now one time have they done it.
Tell me what powerhouse team is in the ACC this year.
That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's an undefeated Power 5 team who has not lost a game. They won their conference in the history. Not one time, even if they've looked bad. We've had teams that are like Washington beforehand, who was undefeated going into the college football playoffs, who made it but didn't look good.
Okay, so why is Liberty ranked 25th?
They're not Power 5. What?
It seems like they play in the same division as the FSU team does, man. I'm telling you, I don't see how you can leave out an SEC team. They knock each other around, and there's just no way you can leave out an SEC team. Now, Texas solidified their spot. That's not a question. They solidified their spot because they beat Georgia. I mean, they beat Bama. Bama beat Georgia. You can't have a team not in it because they beat those teams. Unfortunately, that's just how it's going to work. We'll find out here in a few hours. But they're going to leave FSU out. FSU is probably going to play Georgia in that 5th game that, right before that. And they're going to get slaughtered. And then everyone's going to be like, see, I told you so. They shouldn't have made it.
I think it should look kind of like you just said, Nick. I think it should look somewhere along the lines of Michigan at 1, Washington at 2. I'd say Georgia at 3. I'm not going to sit here and say let's go ahead and throw Georgia all the way down to 4 yet for 1 loss in the last 3 years that just came in against Alabama in the SEC championship game. Okay, it happens. You took 1. I'm not sending you down to 4. I'll throw you down to 3. But then, dude, yeah, look, here's my thing, man, is with the way Texas won yesterday, it is so hard for me to not give them that bid. And I even look at it this way. You know what? They might have 1 loss on the year, okay? But you even go into that championship game last night, bro, right? You take it. Texas they were currently ranked, what, the 7th team, I believe? Right.
Yeah,
they were sitting at 7th, and FSU was sitting at 4 playing 14th ranked Louisville. And they were playing 16th or 18th ranked Ohio or Oklahoma State. slaughtered them like it was nothing. Quinn Ewers played an entire game in the first half, bro. Like it
What was it? 456 yards passing. That's nuts.
Yeah, it was nuts. So when you look at it that way, man, yeah, I mean, David's not wrong though. The committee's never left out an undefeated Power 5 team, and to be 100% honest with you, I don't think that they do it this year. I don't think this is when they start to leave out an undefeated Power 5 team. They should be left out, but I just don't think that they will be. And
this is the last year you have to worry. Last year you have to worry about it, and I'm telling you, they're going to leave him out.
No, I mean, like Chris was saying, I've told you guys for the past several weeks, FSU is not a top 4 team in the nation. And a lot of people are like, oh no, the committee always says we want the best 4 teams. That's never been the case. We've never had the best 4 teams. It's always been the best, the 4 deserving teams, the teams that they thought deserved it the most. So I mean,
doesn't deserve it.
Here's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. They don't. I mean, they do, though, because you win all your games. You haven't lost a game. You win your conference. I mean, yes, you may not be that good, but based on the past, you are the more deserving team because you went through a whole Power 5 schedule without losing. Because at that point, what's the point of playing the games? Like, why did FSU get ranked number 3 in the nation coming into the season?
Dude, pick better games. Your AD should have picked better games to play.
You guys still have to play ACC schedule. Your out of conference was UF, which is always there, and LSU, who is number 4,
North Alabama
coming into the season, who has a Heisman hopeful right now, and are probably going to finish ranked maybe in the top 10.
The second to last game of the season, you guys played North Alabama. As second to last game of the season. Come on now, that's a weak schedule.
Jaden Daniels deserves that Heisman.
They beat that Jaden Daniels team by 21. So I mean, like you can sit here and say,
"Oh, that was week 1, Jaden Daniels." That was week 1, Jaden Daniels.
Okay, so should we say that Texas' win against Alabama in week 2 shouldn't matter either because it was week 2? Alabama, Milrose didn't even think.
That's a good argument, man. It's a good argument. You could say Alabama.
They could possibly look at that, man. This is tough. It's tough. I just don't. I'm telling you,
it's not that tough. I don't think it's that tough.
Yeah, it's not as hard as me.
FSU doesn't deserve it, man. You look at their team right now. Their team right now is garbage. Who's going to be their starter going into the playoffs? You have to look at these factors too. I don't think that team is built right now to be in the playoffs.
It doesn't, dude. Here's what you need to throw through your skull and kind of realize, though, at this point. None of us are arguing that is the team that is built for the playoffs. None of us is saying that. We know it is not a team built for the playoffs. However, open your eyes and realize the committee is throwing them in. The committee is throwing them in.
I don't know. We'll find out by 12. I just don't know how you leave out an SEC football team because if you think about it, SEC
they're not,
college football.
I need you to realize this, Nick. And I know it's hard because you want them to be in very badly, and I get that. But the first person out right now was Texas. You realize that, right? Like in my opinion, the team on the bubble, it's got to be Texas because like you just said, they're not going to allow both Bama and Georgia to not make it. One of those two will have a spot. Texas is the team on the bubble, bro.
If they're taking out any team, it's going to be SEC. Texas beat Bama. Bama beat Georgia. Thereby, Texas gets an automatic bid. Unfortunately, that's just how it works. David, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, so I'll just run down my top 8 right now, what I think the season's going to end up being. I think 1's Michigan. I think 2's Washington. They'll probably give FSU the 3 spot. There were 3 undefeated teams. I think Texas goes in just because you had that head-to-head against Bama. I think at number 5 is probably going to be Bama. 6 will be Georgia. Ohio State will be 7. Oregon at 8. I think that will how the committee be. I mean, Georgia, yes, they were number 1 going into the game. You lose to the number 8 team, and, Georgia lost to Bama. Bama lost to Texas. I don't think they put them in front of those 2 teams. So I'm going to have to say that, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's going to be Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon. Yeah,
it's going to be tough, man. Losing this late in the season in the SEC. I get it, but that's a tough loss. Tough. I feel like the Ohio State loss is better than this one because of what it was, and Michigan was ranked number 2. They were 3. So you lost to the 8th team. Yes, they're looking a little better. They almost lost to Auburn last week, which is why you don't leave Texas out. Texas gets that automatic bid because of what happened. And I believe they deserve to have one. I mean, they won the Big 12 championship. They beat Bama this year. They looked good. They had one hiccup. Two hiccups. But, I mean, they look decent. And I think you have to have that team in it no matter what. Yep. So that's where it's really going to lie. And I don't think FSU, because of what they look like, they may get it in, but I think they're going to get in with a 4 seed. I don't think they're going to get in at a 3 seed, even though they're undefeated. Because at this point, you can't really just look at that.
FSU is really kind of screwing everything up here, this man, too. You know, we could have a really good selection of playoffs here, and FSU just kind of coming in and screwing everything up just for them to get obliterated by 30 in the first freaking game.
I mean, if they do what I say and they play Washington, that may be a closer game than we expect with how good that defense at FSU is. But
Penny Jr. is going to take his BBC and throw it right down Rodmaker's face, dude. It ain't going to matter.
Dude, Washington has a good defense too, and I think you're underestimating that.
I mean, it doesn't matter. You're scoring only 16 points against.
I mean, Washington defense has made the stellar Bo Nix look like not the greatest each time they played.
I'm not worried about how the offense looks. I'm just worried about how the Washington offense looks against that defense. They had 7 sacks last night.
FSU, against a team that just lost to Kentucky. Okay, I do not want to hear this. The team was garbage. I don't want to hear that.
They lost to Pitt too. Don't forget that.
And Pitt, right?
Pitt won 2 games here.
David, this is the same school that had. This is the same school that had the Heisman Lamar Jackson playing quarterback for at one point, and this was still their first ACC title appearance. Okay, let's really throw that out there.
FSU and Clemson were pretty good back then.
Listen, just don't be surprised, and I don't think you would be if FSU doesn't end up getting in, just based on the fact they don't have their star QB there anymore. They didn't play a tough enough schedule, whereas everyone else did. I wouldn't be surprised if they leave FSU out based off of that. Do I think because of what you said, because they won a Power 5 conference, they're going to get the bid? Sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes either way, to be honest.
I'm going to be surprised either. Like I said, I don't think they're the best 4 team in the nation. It's just at this point, being 9-10 years into the college football playoffs, you can't just go ahead and be like, okay, we're going to switch to this year when you've had this resume, when you've had this history of letting people in who probably didn't deserve to be in. Like I said, your Michigan States back then, your Washingtons, that probably Notre Dame probably did deserve to be in the college playoff, but they're like, oh, they're undefeated. They're marquee names, so we're going to let them in. And that's just probably what's going to happen.
I don't know if
I just feel like, for as much as NCAA is about the money, dude, and all that, you might as well just you got to throw in a better team than FSU. You just have to. You have to,
I mean,
man.
FSU is still a prestigious name.
You're gonna lose viewers, dude. I'm gonna be honest. You're gonna lose viewers in this if you don't. I mean, at this point, the only team you're gonna leave out is an SEC team, and SEC is college football. I mean, they live and breathe football, man. And college football is the biggest thing in SEC, and it's just the nature. If it wasn't for SEC, I'm telling you, there really wouldn't be this amazing culture in football because they just have a higher standard in teams, and they always have top to bottom the best division or conference in college football. It's just you're going to lose a lot of viewership if you don't at least have an SEC team in there. I'm going to be completely honest, and I don't know if they're going to do that.
Did everybody see that Pat McAfee troll on the Georgia fans yesterday?
Yeah.
So, Christian, who do you have 1 through 8 right now? Who are you picking?
Yeah, it's tough, but okay. So I'll go Michigan at the 1 spot, Washington at the 2. Yeah, you know what though, man? With the record and everything, and I'd have to go with FSU 3, Texas 4. I'm gonna say, oh man, it's so tough because the way you knock it down. I guess maybe Bama 5, Georgia 6, Ohio State 7, Oregon 8. That's what I'm going to go with. That's how I'm going to roll it.
And like I said, if we're talking best 4 teams in the nation, Florida State isn't it. I don't think Florida State's it. I mean, and I would argue Texas probably isn't the best 4 team in the nation either. I mean, if you put them on the field 1-on-1 against Georgia or 1-on-1 against, not granted, Bama, they beat Bama earlier in the season, or 1-on-1 against Oregon, 1-on-1 against Ohio State. I'm not sure if Texas wins, but they played through a decent schedule. They won their conference. They beat Bama, and so you have to look at that. I mean, their losses to a very mediocre Oklahoma team who lost to UCF by like 20, 30 points. But I mean, you're going to have to go off the head-to-head here. And now, if I was to pick the 4 best teams in the nation right now, the teams who I think should be in there, I mean, it would probably be along the lines of what Nick was saying. It would probably be 1 Michigan, 2 Washington, and then I'd probably do Bama and Georgia. If I was going to pick the 4 teams I think were the best teams that should get in. Again, the committee hasn't switched up on their algorithm in the past 10 years since doing it, but that's the teams I would have probably in if I'm looking at the 4 best teams in the nation.
You're right. They haven't switched out their algorithm, right? This is the last year, so they're probably gonna switch it up because next year they don't have to worry about it. But this year, you gotta have the 4 best teams going in, man. You want their last year of the 4-team college football playoffs to look good and feel confident about those 4 teams. I don't know. I know they've been up since midnight last night, figuring it out, arguing, and because there's no way that they're really thinking that. I don't know. I'm glad I'm not there because this is tough. This is a tough one. I mean, Bama beating Georgia was the biggest, making everything impossible. We talked about it. Bama wins. That makes everything different. So, and it happened. And I'm not completely surprised it happened either. I mean, they're both good football teams. I don't know. It sucks, but we'll see. We'll see next couple hours what happens.
I almost feel bad for Ohio State right now, though. Like when you think about all things that's going to happen, at the end of the day, their only loss will be a away game against the number 1 team in the nation, and they're going to be bumped all the way down to number 7 for that. That's what happens when you have those must-win games. It's going to be interesting when they move the Big Ten Conference away because, I mean, now you're going to do the top 2 best teams are going to go in, so you could have a case where Ohio State and Michigan play each other in back-to-back weeks now.
And that's going to be tough to put in who gets in and who gets out. But it's going to be more teams, so it's not going to be you can put both of them in, really. But I think this might be – if Harbaugh's gone, which I think he's going to be gone, I don't know if Michigan's going to be the same team there. But I'm telling you, you shake your head, but I have a feeling Harbaugh is leaving next year.
Well, let me ask you this much: to go where?
What?
To go where?
I think he's going back to NFL.
Yeah, I'm about to say if he's going anywhere, he's going back to the league. Okay.
A lot of people are saying the Bears. I don't know why.
But had a couple meetings with the Bears already.
I didn't know the Bears. They didn't fire their coach, did they?
No, not yet.
No, but it seems like he's going to be. So anyway, let's not talk about football. Well, we'll leave it at that. We got things to do today.
Highly Taken Podcast.
Beer to drink today.
Like, subscribe,
be all
tell your friends, tell your mother.
Frustrated and stressed out watching the Eagles play the Niners tonight. But all in all, we'll find out in a couple hours on what the committee's thinking. So,
yes, sir.
It'll be interesting, and no one's going to like it. So.
That's exactly right. All right.
Deuces. But fun, HTP fam, we always bring the number 1. Highly Taken Podcast, we taking over the scene. We drop dubs and chugs, Levin, the sports dream. From hot takes to deep dive, it's a winning regime. Come join the hype. We're not just blowing steam.